the presentation.
Recording in progress.
The presentation will be quite short and sweet. It's going to be 35 minutes long. And what I will focus on with the attendees that's presently in the Joburg office is that at the back, we've got a lot of panels out there where we're actually going to do the physical programming, the configuration, and show you guys the features and benefits of the system. Okay. So as you guys can see, I've specifically made it the Intrusion alarm system, this generation. As all you guys know, if you guys followed Intrusion and you installed the first generation alarm, there's a very big difference with this generation, right? So there's three aspects we're going to follow. The first one is going to be the product family, so we know what the system consists of. Second, we're going to speak about the camera integration, having the Intrusion cameras integrated into the system without the NVR. And the third one would be is how do we get this fantastic product into the ARC, which is basically your alarm receiving parts of Fidelity, ADT, or CAP, or Blue Security, all these various different alarm response companies out there. How do we get them actually into the control? Okay, and what different type of methods of connections we can get back into control room? Okay. Thank you, Evan. Okay, so basically this is the H Pro, visible alarms, real assurance. Okay, and then there's something that I put on in the first page for those guys who's going to be throughout the course or and leave just off the introduction. So there's a great promotion that's valid at all our distributors, of our major distributors, and promotion period is from the 27th of November to the 12th of December. So you buy any of those panels and you get a 220 volt relay for free. Okay. So here we're going to unpack quickly the product family. Obviously, we've got various different products, different panels from the 2G right up to the 4G, with 16 partitions, 16 cameras without the NVR. Then we're going to go to a motion detection. Basically, we've got like five or six different outdoor detectors. We've got 6 interior detectors, as well as we're looking down to our army tools here. We've also the control tools, which is your keypad. And obviously, just to unpack it a little bit, is that everybody's crazy about the app on your phone. But the problem comes in if your battery dies, your phone gets stolen, or there's no internet. What happens? You cannot use your phone. And that's why Intrusion has converted back to give you a wireless LCD operated keypad. So in the event, if your alarm goes off, you can be able to see. The normal LED keypad, the problem comes in there. If you do have 5 different partitions, the zone 20 goes off in the third partition. How will you read it off the LED keypad? You can't. Okay. Then we're looking at the wireless product introduction. Obviously, you can see everything. Our entire system in South Africa is obviously, we only import in South Africa 868. So what we illustration there is with the radio frequency, even there's no internet, this alarm system will still work in offline validation. When internet comes back, it will drop all that information back to the control center. And obviously, if you go a little bit further down to the end of our presentation, you'll notice that although there's no internet, your arm response company will be able to receive the signal if they are being connected via the radio via serial cable. Okay. So there's just another picture. So once internet has been provided, you'll have access to all these. So your Reconnect app will work, your ARC service will work, which is via the IP. Obviously, you can use your HPC account, which is your ePro partner. Okay, so this is always very difficult, and I get very nervous when I have to present on this particular page. So if you look at the triangle, something say 2,000 meters and 800 meters. So basically, if you're looking at it, you're looking at 2,000 meters in kilometers. Okay, and you look at it, 800 meters is a quarter mile, right? More than a quarter mile, right? So if I'm saying that the system can look at 2,000 meters, right? Is that true? Yes or no? On offline?
Because wireless signals were variants, so that's just an estimate.
Yes, that's a good answer. So basically, at the license that we actually licensed in on the 868, we can look at that. But remember, around South Africa, everything is not like in the first world countries or developing countries where we have hardwired connections, where the infrastructure and the fibers there. We've got hotspots, we've got Wi-Fi, we've got sector antennas, and that's all killing everything. And everybody, you know, go every street, every corner of the road, you'll find how the camera sitting back wirelessly, so obviously kills network a bit. So again, most of the times why guys fail, obviously with the installation of the wireless, is because they do 90% action and 10% planning. It's actually the other way around. You do 90% planning. So you check your hub, you go, you look, you do a range test, you see from here to there. Okay, I need to put the repeater there, etc. Must my repeater be lower or higher than the hub? The hub is higher because there's umbrella effect. So how to strategic position your repeaters? And that's why I say that most of the time is a 90% action, because everybody say you can just scan, and off you go. No, you have to do the 90% planning and 10%, and then you'll be fine with the system. Yeah. One of the parts I want to focus on that earlier on is on IVAS. IVAS stands for Intrusion Verification as a Service. Okay. So what a guy, obviously, and different brands in the market, I'm not here going to speak about the brand, but of you guys know the brands I'm going to speak about, is that you can pull cameras into a system, alarm system, right? We do it via RSTP or your other method you want to do, but can you use camera, a normal e-vision camera, as a detector back to the panel? And what I'm saying that is that when you arm your alarm, you're actually arming the camera. When you disarm the alarm, you disarm the camera. And getting that video footage in the control room, firstly. Secondly, having a camera on the system without an NVR. So I'll explain that now in depth as we go along. So as you can see on the first, on the left-hand side, the guy that's sitting in class, on the left-hand side, you've got the AX series control panel and the Intrusion HVC. So they get above the cloud one, because cloud one, there is some IT involved. But if we go to the one at the bottom here. So basically how we do it, we take an AX Pro hub at the battery, we put it on the same network as the cameras. So basically you have your 8-port switch, your cameras are going to 8-port switch, and from your 8-port switch, we have a cable linked to the AX Pro. On the AX Pro's panel, we have the tool ready built in. So when you press SADP tool, all the cameras that's on that network automatically pops up. All you just do pair, you select which function you need. You want it to be a stay zone, a sleep zone, an arm zone, panic, whatever, and it will program as you program a detector. So in the event that if the alarm does go off, the camera will send you the 7-second video to your phone as well. If you set it up in the control room will only get a 7-second video on the event. That's event monitoring. You can't do live monitoring from the control room back into the panel. Okay. So the 96 zone panel can do 16 cameras without the NVR. 4 cameras will go automatically to your phone. Exactly what happened. The other 12 will send you like line crossing, burglary, although you just have to press playback. So basically, we are giving you 16 cameras on the system over and above the 96 zones that we've given you also. Also on the panel, every time you put a key fob to the panel, it doesn't take a zone away. Every time you take a keypad, it doesn't take a zone away. Every time you the repeater on the system, it doesn't take a zone away, because we've got allocated slots for them. Like the AX Pro 96, can do 4 repeaters, 16 cameras, and 48 users. Okay. Okay, so I just did the product positioning quickly. So we've got the 64 zone, which is GPRS, which is 2G. So obviously we all know what's happened 2G in the country. If you're not very phased about the 2G, then the functions are basically and features exactly the same. Just that one is 64 zones and one is like, and the difference is that this one is 34G and that is what we call GPRS. Both panels work backward compatible. So if you have CAD module one panel, you don't need to buy another panel to say, fine, I need a panel must be like this in order to receive my video or my demand. All our panels work backward compatible with the peripherals. You don't need a special range extender or repeater to work on the panel. All our peripherals back to back. Only peripherals that does not work, for the guys who's not here, is our first generation does not work on second generation. But second generation going forward to our highest level panel, all the detectors work backward compatible. And then we've launched a new panel. It's about a year out. So it's 96 wireless, plus I give you 16 hardwired zones. So if you have an old system in the house, you don't need to take the entire system out of wiring. You can put that system in, wireless 16 wires in as well. There is also image selection. So if you use 1 ohm, 2 ohm, 3 ohm, 5 ohm, 6 ohm, whatever, you don't have to take the resistors out. You can change on the panel and the panel will register. Yeah. So on all these panels, you already got your GPRS communicator. So you already got the app available. It already got a 3.7 watt battery that lasts 15 hours built in already. It already has its built-in transformer. Everything's there. That's basically a play solution. Okay, so I put this slide in wireless keypad, and obviously there's an addition what I would recommend. So like I said previously, if you do have a wired system, you've got 10 partitions and you've got 100 zones. If the 9th partition go off on the keypad on the left, the 10 is in class, that zone goes off, they say partition 10, the 60th zone goes off. There's no way you'll be able to read it because the binary will be too high. And you won't know if the system is having a problem as well, because that's basically a glorified key fob, the keypad LED. The LCD keypad, basically, you'll be able to change user functionality, because a lot of times guys are saying, but hang on, for me to just change the user on site, I need the administrator with the phone. Now, what we made it easier, we've made sure that you can change user codes, you can check zone faults, you can check the state of the system, as well. You can do diagnostics from here as well. And also, the LCD keypad comes with a tag. So basically, the tags come to the system for free. So if you want to give it to a particular person, you don't need to give him a code, give him a tag, and he can badge it and arm the system. Also, you can also program a time period on as well to say, I can find that Mike Ringwood sitting in front. He needs to come on Wednesdays, tags, okay. Then we've got our key fob at the bottom as well. Our key fob is also another amazing tool, because it's also one key fob that can control everything. So if you have a 220 relay put in place, you can use the bottom buttons at the bottom, because the 2 bottom buttons at the bottom are programmable. So you can open up your garage door, you can put on a light. The 2 buttons is obviously arm and disarm. If you hold 2 buttons down at the same time, you obviously can create a panic, a state zone, and stuff like that. So there's so much you can do with the wireless key fob. And another nice thing of the wireless key fob is that when you arm the alarm, it will tell you that Fernando has armed the alarm. Says notification. If the remote does go missing, you don't need to delete the remote at all. You can just press delete, and that remote will come back to the system that no user function. So maybe the remote went to Cape Town, and you don't want it, but you're scared somebody gets it, you can disable it for that period. Okay. So here's just an illustration of the keypad. So obviously it got stay arming, away arming, silent arm. It keeps the event up to 20 events on the keypad alone, but the entire panel keeps up to 5,000 events, because it goes up to the cloud. You can arm without password, but obviously it's preferable to arm with a password. And alarm history would log, and as well, it will give you in the HICPro partner account as well, it will give you a full detailed log of what was happening on the back end of the panel as well. Okay, so like I mentioned, it has the tag function as well, where you can put a tag in, and it obviously runs over 30 partitions as well at the same time. So there's just a bit of illustration to show you exactly. With that wireless zone, you can operate your one or Rodney, for example. And then there just shows you exactly what you do when you press the turn off 6 button, right? Turn off 6 button on the keypad. It will show you exactly which is a problem. If there's low battery detection, not connected to the ARC, the lid is open, etc., etc. Okay. So there is a wireless repeater. A wireless repeater works not in a daisy chain format. It works back to the panel. So it's basically a star topology. So always ensure that you always got good range, good sight. You do it. I always tell customers, when you do want to know where to position a repeater, always take a panel and take a door contact. Because the door contact transmitter is much smaller than the repeater. So you take your door contact, move the furthest position, from there, place down the repeater, and from there onwards, you can obviously get your signal back into the control panel. Single input transmitter, basically the PDM1 is basically a module that makes some third-party outdoor beam detectors compatible to Intrusion. So that's basically just a converter, right? And then we've got a multi-IO transmitter. So if you have a wireless panel in place, which is either DSP-WA 96 or 64, you can actually put in a multi-transmitter, and that multi-transmitter, so basically your hardwired wires will go in there, and from there it will transmit the signal wirelessly back to the panel in the smart. Especially if you have a building that's across the road or just in the same complex and you don't want to run the trench, you can do this thing as well. At the bottom, the whole switch is basically a 220 volt, 13 amp draw. So the reason why I'm emphasizing 13 amp, this whole switch can basically put a lot of appliances on and off. One thing it can't put on and off is a geyser, because the geyser is 60 amps or 40 amps. So what we guys do is they use a 13 amp relay to trigger a contactor, and from the contactor, it will then obviously switch in the geyser. And obviously, with the unit, it's got a charge or overload a sensor. As well, it will also measure the amount of kilowatts that is pulling out for the hour. So you can actually pull it from there as well. You see exactly how many kilowatts you've been used. Or also what you can do, you can actually set a schedule up. Fine, if I'm leaving office now, put my geyser on at 6 o'clock. When I get home at 8 o'clock, it will switch off as well. So you can do the automation as well. And obviously, our relay module is 36 volts, because some of the garage motors or some motors are 24 volt. And what we've done there is 5 amp. And also, the guys that has installed it, who's online, who's listening, or who's also present here, previously we had only a 5-second pulse time. Now, 5 seconds pulse time is quite long for certain gate motors, especially to ensure that, because it thinks then it's switched off. We've actually changed that. We've made it up to 1 second, so 1 second down to 5 seconds, so you can actually change that as well. And then obviously you can see the smart plug that we have there. It's obviously more of a European standard plug, but guys use them more in the server rooms to switch on and off, like your switches, etc., etc. Okay, so this is our repeater. Our repeater has basically all of these smart auto pairing. So you place your repeater down, and basically the repeater will automatically check which devices is low, and obviously bring it into the panel. So that's that. Or you can actually manually pair it. From my experience, it's a great feature, but I will rather prefer doing the manual pairing. One of the reasons is that we install the alarm today. 2 weeks down the line, at our learned environment, what happens is, what I picked up on smart pairing, it sometimes switches the detector to go to offline validation mode, because the detector doesn't know if it needs to be now in the panel or it needs to be in the repeater, because it can actually see the panel, and the only way to get out is to go into offline validation. Then what guys do, they normally call me out, I go out to site, I delete the device. Once you delete the device, the first thing it does, it jumps back to the panel. When it jumps back to the panel, the repeater, why put it to the repeater, and then it works. And that's how I found out that smart auto pairing doesn't always work as well as we want it to work. So if you can, by all means, try to do the manual testing, just for my experience, right? Okay, so there's a 16-channel input transmitter, 16 channels, and 2 wire outputs. So basic 2 wire outputs, you can trigger anything from their lights, gates, sirens, LEDs, third-party radios as well. The battery could work alone up to 36 hours when it's fully charged, and obviously DC. So we've launched the indoor wireless PR cam, full wireless. It gives you also a 7-second video in the event if the alarm has triggered. And something to note as well, if you look at the right on top, where recommended is, next to recommended is color view version. So what we mean by color vision? At night, it will give you a full color of the description of what the person's wearing. The gentleman wearing the green and black, normal, the normal PRR. If it takes a snapshot because of infrared, it will just give you black and white. But obviously with this version, it will give you the full color of what has happened. Also, you can also see the PET immunity is up to 3 kg and it's 12-meter detection. Okay. It also has 3 batteries. 1 battery for the flash, 1 battery for the pyro, and 1 battery for the camera. Okay. I don't know if anybody guys installed the slimline door contacts. The slimline door contacts has not been what you call very effective in South Africa because it was more designed for wooden windows. So, but I've seen guys put it on aluminium and stain and metal window, and that's why I put an arrow in there that was this is the replacement actually for the South African market, specifically the PE MCEG2, which is a bigger, a little bit bigger magnet, and obviously has a bigger transmitter. So obviously transmitter will transmit a little bit. And then we also got the shock sensor and the door sensor. So with the shock sensor, it's and tilt sensor on 5 degrees. If it's on 5 degrees, it's still closed. If it's just opened up more than 5 degrees, the alarm will trigger. So that's more designed for your safes, or if you stay in a complex, the toilet window is facing the walkway. Normally guys will leave it open. But if you need to have it a little bit further than that, the alarm will trigger. So 5 degrees is actually your limit on it as well. Okay, so you have the different outdoor detectors. The double PRR is a low mounts, 1.3 to 2.5 meter high. It's got 2 PRRs there as well. And got our tri-tech detector, which is basically 2 PRRs with what microwave. And then you can also make it a camera beam. So basically, if you buy the beam standard, it will work. And a few months later, you had an incident, camera actually clips on. You don't have to buy a whole new camera beam that supports it, because the beam supports camera as an after effect. You can mount it on top or at the bottom. Right. And then you've got our curtain PR, which is about 10 meters, they call vertical, and horizontal is give you 5 meters. So you can mount it horizontal or vertical, horizontal. Then we've got the quadruple PR, which is 180 degree with 2 cameras. 480 degree beam with 2 cameras, and basically what happens is if there's an incident or activation, both cameras stitching together, and you'll have a 180 degree view of what's happening out in the field. All right. We designed the external door contact, and what one of the reasons why we designed that beam is that you have the relay that we said, okay, well, works well from your phone. Somebody phones and said, John, please open the door. Gate. You open up the gate, but there's no way that you actually know the gate open, because once the relay pulses, it opens and closes. You see the stated closed on your app. You don't know if the gate's open. And you came out with the IP66, the PD MCX, and that is basically when you mount it outside on your gate. So basically, when your gate opens up, you will see on your app that basically the zone has been violated, or it's open for that matter. We're going to move just quickly briefly over to the hardwired section of Intrusion. So, if we look into the market research as well, why it's still very prevalent in the market, and obviously we need to catch up with the time. So we've came out with the AX Pro, the hybrid basically, and it's basically built on the same principles. Most of the detectors are actually the same as the AX detectors, which is wireless, just in a hardwired version. So if you looked at the previous slides that I showed, exactly the same. The 3-hour wired cam, which is the wireless cam in our on the AX Pro. The only thing we changed was basically the keypad to give it more of the normal conventional the two. Okay. So this is basically just the topology that we've designed here. We can do it via various different ways. If you look at the yellow, is our SpeedX. Our SpeedX run at 5 kilobits per second, and it can actually cover a distance of 900 meters on cable. We just finished university in KwaZulu-Natal, just outside Richards Bay. We covered 5.6 kilometers on cable, because 900 is the first expander. From first expander, we did another 900 meters, and we covered the whole school 5.6. But we obviously use SpeedX plus connection there. There are 3 different models that we've obviously looked at, which is wide, the 48, the 64 zone, as well as the 64 zone kit. So 64 zone kit comes with your 2 PRs, your door contact, your keypad, your key fobs. The only thing it doesn't come with is the 7-amp battery, but it comes with a GPRS communicator. It comes with 32 pins as well. If you look on the 64 LP, it comes with 4 onboard IP cameras, give you indication as well to your system without the NVR put in place. The first one, the 48 EP, is basically only 2 IP cameras that you can connect, but the 64 and 96 you can do 4 and 8. So this is just basically designed for what we designed on the panel, and you'll notice these 2 modules is actually to keep the cost down. If you do not need a SIM card, doesn't come with a SIM card module, and SIM card module is an add-on, as well as like for the banks that like to run PSTN modules. So we've made it a little bit cost effective in terms of not putting it in, because obviously by putting just the 2 in, obviously out of the ballpark with our competitors in the market. And truth to be told, that a lot of our competitors in the market that runs what they call wide, they do not come actually out with SIM card features anyway. And if you need to have a GPRS communicator on it, you actually have to add on. And here we've got a LAN port in there, which will give us a connection to the outside world via internet. Okay, so here's our LCD keypad. Also, amazing thing with LCD keypad, in order for you to have a remote, you do not need a receiver. Your receiver is actually the keypad. You take you program it to the keypad, and the keypad becomes the receiver. So you don't need to add extra cost to there. And secondly, it got 2 zones on the keypad, and it has 1 PGM as well on the keypad as well. Full functional on 32 partitions, arm, disarm, stay arm, diagnostics, bypass, which is called open, and also has, which I mentioned at the bottom, 2 onboard and 1 alarm output. So if you want to run an LED from there, you can as well. Right? Okay, so there, as you can see, it's wire input expander. There's a wireless wide 8 inputs, and the 4 output expanders. So the output expanders was similar to the relay we had on the AX Pro, just that this is hardwired. So you have a 220, the 12 volt. So basically, if you want to run your pool pump and your lights, you'll use the 4 outputs. And if you want to use LED or gate automation, you use the PDM one. This is actually supposed to be an LDM. No. Again, this one is just the revised one of the wide one. So this is wide. 4 cables. Give you 20 images as well, and we'll give you the 7-second video. And the 2 megapixel camera module that's built in there as well. Also, if you look at this, it's 12 meters and get directly to the control panel via the speed export. Also, what's nice about this passive as well, it's got a clean zone facility as well at the bottom. Okay, so before we go to the last segment, this is another promotion again at one of our people, not one at all our national distributors. So if you buy AX Pro and you buy the kit with the audio detector, we'll give you the camera module for free. So basically, it doesn't apply to how much you buy. You can buy as much as you want to. You'll honor the amount of free IR module we need to give you. Okay, last but not least, everybody asks, okay, fine. If you want to look on, I even went the other day on the internet and people were saying, but Intrusion is not monitoring effectively in the home response industry. So I said that's really untrue. If you look at the integration that we've done, we're also one of the only companies that did integration with a serial cable that costs, I think, I don't want to be priced, but let's call it under 100 Rand. And a serial cable gets plugged from the back of this panel, this port, onto the serial port of the radio. And it's also we are one of the only companies that has managed to get full contact to report back to control room via radio. So the guys are doing it, but they're using dry contacts. You can use a relay and you can put zone 1, zone 2. But the bee's knees here is in terms of, if you want to know if your battery is low, you're not going to get that signal because there's only 9 or 14 contact ID codes. And most of the companies only do panic, burglary, opening, closings. So what happens if partition 5 goes off, it's opening, illegal opening, you will know it because we're not monitoring back. On Intrusion, we've managed to get the full contact ID with user descriptions back to the panel. And all you just have to do is select a radio for the Intrusion format and then go to your panel to say your panel is the RTC, for example, in this scenario. The second scenario is obviously FSK. As you guys know, there's 2 different versions of FSK. There's a Falcon and there's a Hawk. Obviously, there was 2 different radios also up in the field in terms of a network, 2G and 4G. The guys who bought this before and said, hang on, but we had a problem. There's one that comes with a PC board. The one that comes with the PC board is actually for the 2G radio. And the cable that has no PC board is actually for radios for 4G. So that's just something that we need to just know, because a lot of guys get to a site where they're now implementing 4G radios and they come in with a converter board. And that's not working. Okay. And then lastly, but not least, is basically our IP receiver. So IP receiver Pro is basically a middle or a gateway in the control room space. So a lot of times guys are monitoring on IP. The software is free of charge. Intrusion also does not charge the installation fee. And this software will sit in between our cloud and between the CMS, the control room monitoring software, which is your watch manager, your Patriot, your CMS, and all that. So basically, our signal will go from our panel straight to the IP receiver and then into the CMS. So the CMS is basically the controller does not even see the software because it talks directly to the back end. That's the one way. The second way is obviously do via the CRDCS, and that's the CRDC format that will go straight into the control room. Or we can do the one where we don't use our, but we use the ISAP or the OTAP feature, where we go from ISAP to IP receiver back through. Only downside if you do the ISAP is because of the P2P connection. If there's a crash in your control room, we won't be able to retrieve what we call that panels out in the field. But if you're doing a dual connection, you're doing it via the HVP, which is this one here, the HVC, and you're doing it via on ISAP, you'll be able to receive both signals. And if one fails, the other one takes over. And on HVC, we can actually lock all the panels in the cloud. So if your control goes down, we know with your special ARC ID and login username, we can bring them back back to life as well. Okay, and that was the end of that. So, any questions, Rodney?
How many wireless expanders do you put on one?
Wireless expanders. Are you talking about the wired or what?